We are live.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to the first community development meeting of the year 2021. So
Hello.
welcome everyone. And it's a Browns Monday. Congratulations to the Browns, and let's get a Buckeyes win tonight. So 4 items on the agenda for community development. First item is the approval of December's 14th community development meeting minutes.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sarah, second by Mrs. Mitchell.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next item is the matter of a request for a conditional use permit for a type A in-home child care program located at 108 Regency Court. Do we have Courtney here? Who this was referred by? Courtney Price?
No, I don't think she's on, but I can speak to kind of some of the high level of it.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, so this was a request for it's a daycare center that has 6 children currently, and she wanted it to be able to be eligible for 12 children. It's over on Regency Court. Some of the concerns that the commission had were around parking and around traffic, and then if the space was conducive to increasing children. And so Courtney was able to answer those concerns we had, and a lot of the concerns we had were things that we would need to defer to Ohio Job and Family Services. I think the consensus from the board was that we felt comfortable approving it, knowing that there's another check in place with Ohio Job and Family Services to make sure that it's conducive to have children with that amount of space and the entrances and exits and whatnot.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mayor. So I just want to be clear on one thing here. So we're going, the request will involve going to a type A in-home child care program. Does that define the fact that she's going from 6 to 12 children?
Yeah, I would have to defer to the experts on that. But
Mr. Callahan, the zoning administrator, is here. He can probably speak to the specifics of the code.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. Through you. The current childcare use is a type B. As defined in our building code, it limits from 1 to 6 children.
Okay.
The proponent is actually asking to increase that to 7 to 12 max in that area.
Okay. So that indicates the type A then is what
Yes.
will be designated as the A. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, are there any other questions from anyone on the committee?
Tom,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mrs. Mitchell.
thank you, Chair, through you. To Mr. Farkas, I read what you guys put in our box, and I understand that she has a separate entrance from her home into her daycare center. Is that correct?
Yeah, Chairman, through you to Donna Mitchell. Yes, she apparently has several entrances into the basement when the house was built that provides a side access in lieu of the front door.
Okay. And through you, Mr. Chair, were there any objections to from her neighbors, or did anyone reach out to them? I don't see that there would be, seeing she's already has a daycare there.
Mr. Chair, through you, to my knowledge, no one opposed the proposal. I myself did bring some concerns to the board in regards to my staff recommendations for a point of consideration due to the potential of traffic flow and lot size. And we did not have any objections from the neighbors.
Okay, good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns?
I could comment.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Oswald. Go ahead, Mr. Oswald.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. First off, I just want to say kudos to Courtney, because you can probably name 5 or 6 people easily that are running daycare centers out of their house right now that aren't probably limited, got their permitting and done what she has done. The property over there is next to Ford Road, it's not a real busy street. I go down there every day. But they've got plenty enough driveway. They've got enough entrances into the house. The basement's finished off, I understand. I think this is great that she's doing it, and she's doing it on the right way. I don't see nothing against letting her do this. I thank her for coming to the board and asking for permission, which nobody does. Thank you. Mr.
Okay. Point well taken there, Mr. Oswald. Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, seeing none, I will read the committee report. We have considered the matter of a conditional use permit requested by Courtney and Dominic Price for a type A in-home childcare program located at the property of 108 Regency Court. This is an ordinance authorizing the said conditional use permit for the request of a type A in-home childcare program at the said location. Also, this matter was approved on January 5th by the Planning Commission. Could I get a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved, Mr. Chair. Second.
A motion made by Mrs. Mitchell, second by Mr. Sarah. Oh, wait, we got a question. Eric Bruning.
Just real quick, I want to make sure, were there any conditions placed on it by Planning Commission? I don't know if that was noted there.
Okay, I am not seeing any conditions.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
just says approved by Planning Commission on January 5th.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, so I guess I'll call for the question.
Call for the question.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, next item on the agenda is a matter of a rezoning request to rezone property located at 621 49th Street from business neighborhood to business automotive oriented district for the Express Wash Concepts Car Wash. Do we have Mr. Jason Fenton here?
Yes, hi,
Okay, Blake, go right ahead there. Sir, just please state your name, address for the record.
sure. Jason Fenton with Express Wash Concepts. You know what? Let me get my address because I work remotely and I've only been on the team for about 3 months. I apologize.
That's okay. It's okay. Take your time.
Our address is 13375 National Road Southwest, Suite D, in Etna, Ohio 43068. And I am the Director of Development for Express Wash Concepts.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything you'd like to add or give any information to the committee?
No, we're just excited about the project. You know, working with Daryl and the team has been great. And again, it's the location. It's an existing. It was an old BP, I believe. It's an existing used car dealership now, and that's the piece that's actually zoned correctly at the B AO, and the piece in the rear is zoned in the BN. So that would be creating the BAO for that back piece, and then we'll do a lot consolidation as part of our approval process to create our development, which is about a 3,700 square foot building. And I don't know if you've all have seen, we did renderings, and it really gives you a good visual of what the project will be, hopefully.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Are there any questions or concerns or any comments from anyone on the committee?
Mr. Callahan?
Yes, go ahead, right up, Mrs. Mitchell, please.
Thank you, Chair, through you. When I initially saw the renderings, I was like, where the heck will they put a car wash? But now I understand that the house behind that building
Yes.
is going to be part of it. So you'll have plenty of space. I was concerned about the traffic. So will you, because the traffic, that's right at the corner of 57 and Griswold, basically.
Yes, it's the
So-
south. Yeah.
How will the traffic, will they come in by the Lowe's and exit that way, or enter there and exit out by the Lowe's? How will that work?
No, we'll have the one curb cut on Griswold. So the curb cut that we're proposing is pretty much as far west that we can go to pull back from the intersection of Route 57 and Griswold.
Mr. Chair, through you, because traffic at that intersection, at certain times of the day, it can be pretty heavy. So that would be a concern with the traffic coming out, trying to go either direction. That would be a concern, I think.
I agree. Has there been any studies conducted in regards to the traffic?
No, we were not notified to do any. Our use is such where it's less than a QSR in terms of people that we put through, right? I guess you could say through a drive-through. So, you know, it's just one access point. The lane that goes from Griswold onto, I guess you would be heading eastbound to 57. There is a dedicated left, and I believe there's also a turn right. So there's plenty of places to stack, as well as, again, we're as far, our curb cut is pretty much as far west as you can go to help with any of the stacking issues that are at the light for people that would like to enter, turning left, heading westbound on Griswold to get to our site.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any more questions?
Mr.
I have a
Oswald had his
question.
hand up.
Okay, Mr. Oswald, you're the only one I can't see. I'm sorry. Mr.
Oh,
Oswald.
okay.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I know in the past, and I don't know if Engineer Snyder is on board. Generally, and I don't know if this got recorded when it went to Planning Commission, if it didn't go to Planning Commission, but from the street to the entrance has got to be so far. We ran into that issue when we were trying to get something squared away over at the doctor's office when they were trying to put that Mart store on the corner of Hilliard and Abbey. So as Ms. Mitchell said, I'm concerned they can only go so far back until they hit that hotel. Is that going to be enough distance? There is one lane, I believe, that turns left, and then there's a lane that goes straight and turns right. And when I was looking at it, I don't know if you can feed traffic out on 49th Street. So I was just going to see if that could be checked out, a possibility. I think it's going to be cumbersome right there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mrs. Davis has her hand up.
Mrs. Davis, go right ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, in my area, that nice place is going to be located. And to comment on it, the traffic onto Griswold, the light at Griswold going west and east, change. 2 cars can only get across 57. So that's going to have to be a study and change, because going east and west, when you're sitting on Griswold, only 2 cars can make it. Now, my suggestion is 49th Street, that exits back out beside the hotel there and goes by the daycare. Why can't they use that, since they're taking that house behind there, which would be a great access to go in and out that way? Or if you come in off of Griswold, you're in or out, go back out onto 49th and back out by Speedway onto Leona. So it should be, I didn't think that they were going to be exiting and entering off of Griswold, because it's going to be problems right there at the corner. I hope we can work this out for the car wash to be there, but it's something that we need to look at for the traffic, because I'm telling you, only 2 cars can make it across 57 at one time, going east or west on to Griswold.
I concur.
Me too.
I really, through you, Mr. Chair, I really think the traffic coming out onto Griswold is going to be an issue. And like Ms. Davis says, why can't, you're taking the house, why can't you have the traffic feed out by the Lowe's, right in front of Lowe's? That would make more sense. The traffic there is not as heavy. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Mr. Chair, if I may
Yes, go
interject through you to Donna Mitchell and Mrs. Davis. Right now, we're just in the rezoning phase. No plan submittal has been submitted in regards to the proposed location, traffic. So that is a good point to consider. And of course, we will bring that to Mr. Schneider's attention if he's not already on here listening. But when we go through the review process, we will assure that compliance is obtained for location. And if John feels there is a need for a traffic study, it is food for thought for Mr. Fenton to consider.
Mr.
Excellent.
Oswald has his hand up.
Yes, Mr. Oswald, go right ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. I guess I really want to see, like Mrs. Davis said, I want to see that car wash there. I don't want to see a problem. For some reason or another, car washes are big all of a sudden. And so I was real happy to see something go in there. So I want to make it happen. If we can work together as a team between the company and the city, I can rest assure you we can make this thing happen. But please, let's make it safely. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. And I concur with everything you just said. That's very good. Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments? Anybody want to weigh in? Okay, taking all those comments into consideration, I'm going to go ahead and read the committee report. We have considered the matter of a rezoning request for property located at 621 49th Street. This would be an ordinance authorizing the rezoning request at 621 49th Street from business neighborhood to business automotive oriented district for an express wash concepts car wash. This matter was approved by the Planning Commission on January 5th, subject to the condition of the lot location. Could I get a motion?
Isn't it lot
through you, Mr.
consolidation?
Chair.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. Lot consolidation. I apologize.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the
Thank you.
committee report will be incorporating that recommendation of planning.
Yes, it is. It's right here. I just misspoke. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you're listening. Okay, so at this point, could I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Mrs. Mitchell, second by Mr. Sarah.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, one more item for community development, and that would be the matter of a rezoning request to rezone property located at 4900 and 4950 Midway Mall from Business General District to Light Industrial District for the proposed use of a warehouse and trucking. I guess we're going to start this off with Mr. Martin, if he's here.
Well, through you, Chair, I was going to.
Okay, Mayor. I'm sorry, Mayor, go right ahead.
So just for context, this is the ICP, the same company that we've probably talked with and our administrators talked with for a while. Same group that's developed malls around the region and the country. And we're just really excited about this. I mean, it is a big day to usher in a new era for Midway Mall. We've been working with this developer to develop a more comprehensive plan and strategy for the entire mall area. We've had the chance to talk to all of you, full council, about some of those plans. And, you know, today is one of those first steps in that direction. The Planning Commission voted unanimously in support of this. You know, today's vote is for 2 specific parcels, but we'll be following this up with another request for development of the rest of the mall site. And, you know, there were some concerns, but I was going to pass it to Dawn and let her share some of those and then let the development team speak. Their chief operating officer wasn't able to join us tonight. So that's part of the reason why I'm sharing some of the feedback. But if you don't mind, if I could pass to Dawn.
Yeah, thank you. Go right ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So yeah, we are very excited about this project. It is, you know, we feel strongly the first domino to fall in a potential redevelopment of the entire mall site. We recognize that you'll hear the retail asset class just really isn't very active right now, but industrial warehousing distribution is a big growth market. And this is a tremendous opportunity given the location and the highway access to this site. So we're very excited. We think that this is going to open the door to marshal in more further development and rewrite the story for Midway Mall for the 21st century. We know that there has been some issues. One of the Planning Commission concerns was outdoor storage. That has been addressed. ICP has voluntarily agreed to put in a deed restriction, which would limit the location of any outdoor storage and ensure that the proper screening was given, so that we could preserve the aesthetic of the location. So I think if there's any questions specific, I'd be happy to answer them, or we can turn it over to the ICP team.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Chairman, they do have some representatives here.
Okay, good. I guess I have one quick question for Dawn before we get into that. When you mentioned the screening, is screening like a fencing that they can see through, or will it be more of a wall?
So that is to be determined,
Okay.
dependent on the use and what would be stored, but we would work with ICP directly on that to make sure it is something that the city would feel comfortable with.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I believe Mr. Farkas can speak to this, but I believe that it would go through design review once it got to that point of what that wall would look like.
Okay,
Yes,
just
Mr. Chair, through you to the mayor. That is correct. That is almost on a case-by-case basis, depending on the materials to be stored and location. So the screening is to obscure whatever the object or material would be from public and road view.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Anybody want to speak on this at this particular time? Like I said, I'm getting a few folks on my computer. I can't see everyone. So just shout out if there's anything anybody wants to say.
Through you, Mr. Chair, Mr.
Yes.
Martin, the referent is here.
Oh, great. Would he like to weigh in now?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay.
So committee
Mr.
chairman, mayor, appreciate everyone's
Hey,
time.
Mr. Martin, right before we get started, just please, just for the record, your name and the address of the corporation for the record.
Yeah, sure. Very good. Jeff Martin with Industrial Commercial Properties, business address 6675 Parkland Boulevard in Solon, Ohio.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm here, as Mayor alluded to, on behalf of the organization and our Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Salata, Chris Salata, who's been working on this project for several years. And we're really excited to finally have an end user for one of the two former department stores that we own at Midway Mall, and think that this is a great first step in kind of pivoting the direction of this property, and into more of an industrial kind of job creating hub. So I think this is first domino to fall to help kind of transform this project in the right direction, and it's something that we're excited about. It's a logistics user for the building, and it's a company that initially is only taking the first floor of the building, but feels strongly in the market and thinks that it can grow into the second floor over time. And as I've mentioned to the mayor and Dawn and others that have been helpful in this process, we really see this as a huge catalyst that helps kind of transform the public perception of this mall. Retail is obviously ever changing, and it's not going to exist in the form that it has historically. So e-commerce and other vehicles are driving significant changes in the real estate landscape across the country, and we want to be at the cutting edge here and help transform this property quickly, and kind of give it new life. So I'm also joined by our local counsel, Jordan Burns, on this call this evening, but happy to answer as many questions as you'd like to ask.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that. I guess I'll leave it up to the committee at this point. Anybody on the committee at this particular time have any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go right ahead, Mrs. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Martin. We are ecstatic that you've chosen Elyria, and we welcome you, and we look forward to working with you on this project. You mentioned job creation. Can you share with us what type of jobs and potentially how many would be brought to the community?
Yeah, so for this first deal, as I mentioned, it's half of the Sears building, And, it's not a huge job creator, but we do think that it helps, set the tone, with the public perception of, projects that, are kind of going the industrial route, moving away from retail. And I think it is really setting us up well for the future in terms of changing that public perception and attracting, larger job creators to the site in the future. So right now we own the Sears and the Dillard's property, the former Dillard's property at the mall. And we have been in discussions about acquiring more of the mall. So that would be our long-term play here. We'd like to, kind of control the balance of the mall in the future.
Mr. Chair, if I may follow-up question. That's great. You didn't answer my question. So what type of jobs? I understand there won't be a lot of jobs, but will there be any new jobs created with this first phase?
I don't have the exact number.
Hello?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
The payroll was in the 200,000 range. And it's a 100,000 square foot user. They didn't give us a specific number of jobs.
But the possibility of new jobs coming to Elyria is there with this
Oh, yeah.
project. Awesome. That's what I needed to know. Thank you.
Mr.
Anybody
Chair.
else? Yes, go right ahead. Go right ahead. Mr. Oswald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've lived in Elyria for 61 years, which means I'm 61 years old. The perception of that property is retail. Okay, so it's going to be hard for us Illyrians to think that it's going to be anything different. But we have a gem. We've got Route 57, Route 2, the Turnpike. It's going to change. We have to change with the zoning. We got somebody that's going to start moving in. We got to move fast. If you don't get these people to jump when you got the chance, they're going to look somewhere else. We got to snap them when we can. It can spur, just like you put a Walmart at the end of a street, and all of a sudden, all the other businesses want to be there and feed off of Walmart. This could be something similar fashion. I think this is nothing but good. We need to get on it. We need to move fast. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Oswald. Are there any other questions, comments?
Miss Davis has one.
Yes, Ms. Davis, please go right ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. I didn't know you couldn't see me, my little hand over there.
That's
you.
okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. It seemed like this day I'm betting 100 in the area. Long time. I welcome the new project at the mall. And so it'll be good for someone to see something going on there. We welcome you, Mr. Martin. Yes, Mr. Jeff Martin. We welcome you, and hopefully whatever we can do on the part of council, that we'll be available to help. Also, we just doing a zoning now, and I just don't want them to start painting the area black. And so I hope if they decide to paint it, that we'll have conversation about the color that's going to be going on there. And I appreciate you. Thank you once again, and welcome to Elyria.
Very good. Very good.
If I may, Councilwoman, thank you. Thank you so much. I will note it will not be an entirely black building. Chris American, our owner, is very focused on the aesthetics. And, I think, frankly, this building will be transformed where it will be unrecognizable as a Sears, a former Sears, and we'll give it a very modern, contemporary look. So it'll look brand new, in my opinion.
That's very good. Very good. Anybody else? Does the law department have anything? Law Director Deary want to weigh in, or?
Mr. Callahan, I just
Yes.
would want to make sure that the committee report reflects the Planning Commission conditions that were stated, I think, pretty succinctly at the Planning Commission meeting. Assuming that the committee agrees with those conditions and doesn't want to further modify, or, the committee obviously is free to alter in any way that Planning Commission restriction. But you might want to make it clear, Mr. Chairman, and I can help do that if you like, exactly what that restriction was.
Right, yeah, well, it is written here on here, but I think it'd be nice if you just explained to the committee to see if there's any further questions.
So my understanding of it at the planning commission meeting was that they were approving the rezoning from business general to light industrial on the condition that the owner would voluntarily place a deed restriction on their property such that the otherwise permitted use of outdoor storage in a light industrial, they would be prohibiting that use in the light industrial area of those buildings in all locations of those parcels, with the exception of a clearly delineated area, and that's marked on a map. I can't describe it in words other than, and Mayor, maybe if you want to jump in, or Mr. Martin, my understanding it's the area around the loading docks of the Sears, and thank you, Mayor. Here we go. That box. That would be the area in which outdoor storage would be permitted, subject to screening and buffering as approved by the Elyria City zoning inspector.
That's the old catalogs department?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just restating my understanding of the planning commission motion and approval. I don't have it in front of me, but hopefully the committee report mostly reflects that. Obviously, our department will be doing the legislation, that'll flow from this. So I just want to make sure that everybody is clear on those restrictions, understands them, has any questions, want to modify in any way. Now is the time.
Yeah, just for the record, Mr. Bruning, at the end of the committee report, which I will read later, the matter was approved by Planning Commission on January 5th, subject to the deed constriction. Restriction. I did it again.
If you just want to incorporate the planning commission recommendation into the report, I think that would be sufficient.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other questions? Concerns? Okay, I'll read the committee report. We have considered the matter of a rezoning request for property located at 4900 and 4950 Midway Mall. An ordinance authorizing the rezoning request at 4900 and 4950 Midway Mall from General Business District to Light Industrial District for the proposed use of a warehouse and trucking. This matter was approved by Planning Commission on January 5th, subject to the condition of a deed restriction as reported by the Planning Commission. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Mitchell, seconded by Mr. Sarah.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you very much, everybody, very much.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yes,
Look forward
thank
to
you.
our working relationship.
Okay, yep, we look forward to working with you.
Brenda has her hand up, Tom.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Is it-
Brenda.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, is this an emergency? Did you say this was an emergency, or Mr. Brewer?
No, I don't believe it was an emergency. The charter places certain time limits on when we can act. I think as soon as we can have the public hearing on it, that's a matter for Colleen and Mr. Lotko to determine the scheduling of that public hearing. But I think the soonest possible date we can have it, we will probably have it. But again, the zoning changes, Mrs. Davis, just so you know, zoning changes normally have to go through three readings and a public hearing.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Okay, all right.
thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Okay. Seeing no further business for community development, we can go into a joint meeting with finance. So at this particular time, I'd ask Mr. Stewart to please call finance.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Victor.
Okay. I'll call finance to order.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stewart. Two items on the agenda. First one is for finance and community development joint. is the approval of the December 14th Joint Community Development Finance Meeting minutes. Can I get a motion?
So move.
Moved by
Second.
Mr. Sarah, seconded by Mrs. Mitchell.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, we have one item here, and that is the matter of a request to forgive the Community Development Rehabilitation Loan on property located at 190 Bell Avenue. Is Mrs. Scott on from Community Development?
She is.
Is there? Okay, please go right ahead.
All right, thank you. Mr. Roberts entered into an emergency home repair loan on April 19th, 2018 in the amount of $3,650. This was for a furnace replacement and gas line shutoff for the water tank. The homeowner passed away on February 19th of 2019. So in accordance with the loan agreement, that $3,650 became due and payable at the time of his passing. Carla Inman, the daughter and executor of the estate, is requesting forgiveness of this lien. It's her hope to either give the property back to the bank or to the county land bank. She did provide documentation of an appraisal that was dated back in December of 2019, showing a value of $24,000, as well as an open-end mortgage that was taken out in 2014 in the amount of $42,500. She has indicated that no payments have been made on this property since his passing, and the property continues to fall into disrepair. To date, a formal agreement has not been entered into with anyone to actually transfer this property. Should council support the request, it's Community Development's recommendation that the amount of the lien would be reduced contingent on final net proceeds, if any were received on the transfer of the property. And should those net proceeds become insufficient to repay the program investment due, the city would go ahead and reduce the lien or forgive it accordingly.
Okay.
And I would like Ms. Inman, she was unable to make the call tonight as she had to work.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have a question, Mr.
Okay,
Callahan.
yes, Mr. Bruning, please.
Ashley, you say it's a release of the lien so that this memo reads like she's going to do a deed in lieu of foreclosure. So there probably wouldn't be any money transferred. So what you're really asking for, it looks like, is, a forgiveness of that lien. Is that right?
Right, yeah, she is looking for the complete forgiveness. So I do know that there was a request from Medicaid to, forgive their lien as well. That was granted from Medicaid, so that was forgiven.
Okay.
As
well,
well.
As I see it,
so the ultimate request is for forgiveness.
Okay. Just so everyone knows, I did look at that, and that Medicaid lien looks like it was later in time than ours. We had a superior lien to them anyways. So really it's the first mortgage and then community development's lien. So, this is an estate. It doesn't look like there's any other money in that estate. This would be basically a convenience for the executor to allow her to do, kind of a shortcut and a deed in lieu of foreclosure process. The alternative would be that you don't forgive it and you just let the foreclosure process complete. And then at that point, it would go to a foreclosure sale. Maybe it sells for less than the amount of the first mortgage, in which case we don't get anything. Maybe it sells for more than the amount of that first mortgage, in which case we're the next lien, it looks like, and we may get a piece of it. I just want to make sure everyone is clear on what the procedure would be if you don't forgive a lien like this.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, according to what I've read there, the bank has a mortgage of 42.5, the value is 24. The likelihood of anything, us getting back anything, is pretty remote. If we could help expedite since we aren't going to get anything anyway, I agree with Mr. Brunig. Usually if there's some equity there, but there seems to be negative equity at best. So I'd be for moving ahead with it. Forgiveness. Obviously they've talked with the executor, and if they're trying to expedite, I don't see any problem. I don't like doing that generally, but I think this case it's a no-win. So
Okay.
That
Thank you.
appraisal, Mr. Baird, was over 2 years old, just so you know, too.
and it's in disrepair is what they're saying. So it's probably
Exactly.
worth less.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, with all due respect, we do know it's got a pretty new furnace.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
You also got to you, Mr. Chair, you got to know the neighborhood too. So you're
That's
not
right.
gonna get any more.
You're not gonna
going
get
down.
anything.
You're going
Right.
down. You're not gonna even get to 24,000 that it was appraised at, I guarantee you.
I guarantee. And Mr. Chair, through you, seeing how the
Froze up.
homeowner has out, it's the right thing to do. I agree with Mr. Baird.
Okay.
Mr. Oswald had his hand up.
Yes, yeah. Mr. Oswald, please go right ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I guess I'm echoing those comments too. First off, I'm sorry that they have to be put in this position like so many others are. They get backwards in amounts just trying to stay afloat. I think that it would be a good justice just to forgive it and make it easier, one step easier for them to go through. Right now, they're probably having a heck of a time doing what they're doing. So I would like to say, let's just forgive it and move on. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Are there anybody else that'd like to weigh in? Okay. All right, seeing none, I will read the report and committee report and go from there. We have considered the matter of a request to forgive a community development rehabilitation loan on the property at 190 Bell Avenue. This is an ordinance authorizing the requested forgiveness of the said loan. Please keep in mind, an affirmative vote means that you agree to the said loan being forgiven. And this is the request given or made by the applicant. So could I get a motion from community development?
So moved.
Motion made by Mrs. Mitchell, seconded by Mr. Sarah.
Question.
All those in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carried.
Can I get a motion from finance?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Baird,
Second.
second by Mr. Tolet. Any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Just Mr. Callahan and Mr. Stewart, just for clarification for us, I did not hear anything about suspension or emergency. So is that, I should assume just a regular ordinance in the normal course?
I'm not seeing anything on the committee report.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for all your input. All right, seeing no further business for the community development portion of the meeting, I would accept a motion for community development to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Sarah, seconded by Mrs. Mitchell.
Question?
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Mr. Stewart will carry on with finance. Thank you.
So we'll continue on with finance. So I'm having technical difficulties with the my video. So I can see everybody and you can hear me. So the good thing is that you don't have to see me.
I second.
All the
I
questions.
like it.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Put my foot in my mouth there. So we'll continue on. Item number 1 is the approval of the regular finance meeting minutes for December 14th, 2020. Can I get a motion?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Baird,
Second.
second by Mr. Tolet. Any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nay. Motion carried. Item number 2, the matter of purchasing a new Labrie, is that how it's pronounced, 37 cubic yard garbage truck to the state purchasing and best equipment. Purchase price is not to exceed $352,000. Let me back up. Let me start over again. We've considered the matter of purchase of a new automated garbage truck. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to authorize the purchase of a new garbage to the state purchasing and best equipment. Purchase price is not to exceed $352,000, and the funds will be allocated from temporary issue 6 capital funds. Standard emergency applies. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Baird, second by Ms. Davis. Mr. Brubaker.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening to everybody. This was passed at Utilities last Wednesday, but what we're asking is that we have the ability to purchase a new one-arm garbage truck utilizing monies that are currently in the temporary appropriations of the issue 6 capital. I have spoke to several council members, including Mr. Jesse and Law Director Deary, and the concurrence was that this would be an appropriate use of issue $6. This would take care of a couple different things. One, we already have a truck that we purchased using sanitation funds back in November that is on order. By allowing this to happen, we would be able to order this next week once provided finance passes that and it passes city council next Tuesday, which gets us on the clock because it is about a 12 to 14 month lead time to get this truck. And this will replace one of our older trucks. So you got to remember the bulk of our fleet is a 2010, which means we're going into year 11 of those vehicles. We have purchased some over the last couple of years, but this is allowing us to start to regenerate the replacement of our fleet. It'll also help alleviate the sanitation fund. I mean, saving $350,000 in the sanitation fund, considering, you know, where we're at with that makes sense. So I'm asking that the Finance Committee appropriate these funds. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Brubaker? Mr. Tolet.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, is this a direct purchase or is this a lease?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Tolet, this will be a direct purchase. We would pay cash. I believe that's what we did with the sanitation truck out of the sanitation fund, but we would pay cash for this. Keep in mind that it will take 12 to 14 months. So even though we're buying it now or going into agreement with it now, we will not pay for this until the truck is in our hands, which would be basically sometime in February.
So we'll encumber these funds now.
Mr. Pileski has his hand up, so there may be an option to that.
Okay.
Mr. Pileski.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. First of all, the truck that we purchased last year is not going to be, we're not paying cash for that truck. We have to borrow money to pay for that truck, and then we'll pay that note off an extended period of time because the sanitation fund is strapped for cash. This is actually the first I'm hearing of this purchase. And it's okay to take it out of issue 6. However, it's going to cause a little bit of an accounting problem because it's going to be used by an enterprise fund, the sanitation fund. So I can handle all that, but this is kind of like a new area where we're purchasing an enterprise fund asset, you know, going to be used as an enterprise fund operation, and we're using tax dollars to pay for it. So it's kind of a new, something new for us, but I can handle the accounting aspect of it. It'll be like a donation to the sanitation fund, but would like to have a little bit of heads up on stuff like this before it goes to committee, so I can know ahead of time.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, there was a referral that was sent down to the finance director's office several weeks ago. I don't know if it did not get into the hands or not. But I can work with you, Mr. Pileski, on this moving forward. So
okay. So I guess as far as if we're gonna purchase from issue 6, I would just say we would pay cash for it without borrowing when the truck comes in.
Is that the recommendation of the committee, I guess that's, we're trying to move forward with this, the fleet of what we're trying to replace of a, aging fleet. And, these are opportunities that we can invest in using issue 6 tax dollars that was kind of being considered here to kind of move forward with these purchases.
I would support that, Mr. Stewart.
Is any other comments in regard to what's being, Mr. Oswald, who's not on the committee, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, and maybe this is towards Mr. Pileski. Does it save us money by paying cash for these rather than taking loans out and paying them?
Does it save us money by paying up front, by paying cash?
Yes.
Yes. Obviously, okay. I mean, the interest rates are very low still with 1-year notes, but something like this, we would probably pay over a 5 to 10 year period. So you would have interest accruing over that time period that we would have to pay in addition to the cash price.
But does it, here again, for us to pay it on down the road, does it put us in any better of a position to have funds available, or not really?
Well, I mean, if I think in this case, the rates are so low, I can issue notes, but I kind of would like to do that all at the same time because we have this other truck that's coming in this year. So I guess it'd be my recommendation just to pay for it, this one out of issue 6 without borrowing.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pileski.
Mr. Baird.
Mr. Baird, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms.
No,
Davis.
I didn't say ask anything.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I concur with this, and also that it's going to take over a year to build. So by then, we should be good with issue 6, I hope, and the problem, it won't be no problem to pay cash for the truck. So I'm in agreement with ordering the new truck since we don't have to pay for it until it comes.
Any other questions or discussion? Law Director Deary.
Yeah, Mr. Stewart, I mean, just for the record, I just want to say that, I have looked at the ballot language for issue 6, looked at it many times. And I just want to say that it is my opinion that, yes, this is illegal, illegal use of issue 6 funds. This is a capital expense. I just want to say for the record that as far as whether it's appropriate to use this, that's a matter for council to decide. So, and this committee. So, and also for what it's worth, again, this is not a matter for the law director to decide, but I think as Mr. Pileski has said, I think, and has alluded to, I think the elephant in the room is what you all are going to do probably sooner than later with the sanitation fund. So I just want to put that out there. And that's just my comment.
Mr. Baird.
Yeah, question was passed by the Utilities Committee. I haven't seen anything recently, inventory of the trucks and how old they are and what kind of condition they are. I assume maybe they did that and that's why they approved it. And of course came to us for approval, or it's going to go to the whole council on the dollars and where the dollars come from. But if some assurance that, at least the Utilities Committee felt it was necessary. Is that correct?
Correct.
Ms. Mitchell, if you wanted to.
I will defer to Mr. Brubaker. He can tell you the condition better than I, but I think the need is definitely there considering the trucks are getting older and the lead time that it takes to build these trucks. Mr. Brubaker?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Mitchell, through the chair to council. Like I said, we have the original trucks that were purchased and put into service in December of 2010. Those are all still on the road. And because those are still on the road, as you would think with 11-year-old garbage trucks, you have a lot of service concerns and issues. They're well out of warranty, so we're paying out of pocket for those repairs. We were fortunate over the last couple of years to purchase a couple newer trucks that has helped, but because the sanitation fund has been in the condition it is, we've not been able to do that rotation that we anticipated doing way back in 10 when we purchased the trucks. So the idea is we got to try to keep rotating these trucks so we don't run into a problem where in 2 or 3 years we've got to order 3, 4, 5 of them at a time, which we know financially we're not going to be able to do. So yes, our trucks are old. They're becoming a maintenance. Our guys do a great job, but we're also sending them out on some of the more major repairs.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Someone call for the question.
Question.
Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item number 3, we've considered the matter of delinquent inactivity utility counts, a resolution authorizing the attached list of utility counts which have been approved by the EPU Resolution Board to be certified and submitted to the Lorraine County Auditor's Office for property liens. Can I get a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Baird.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tolet. I don't know if Ms. Connor is here, but Mr. Brubaker, if you want to, this is kind of standard procedure.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Unfortunately, Director Connor had a doctor's appointment this evening, but you are correct. This is our standard cleanup procedure after our monthly resolution board meeting to send over delinquent accounts that the resolution board agreed to.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item number 4, we've considered the matter of an agreement between the city of Elyria and the city of North Ridgeville to extend the waiver of minimum charges for the water services sold to North Ridgeville. Nor has authorized the mayor to enter into said agreement with the city of North Ridgeville. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Baird.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Mr. Firestein.
Appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to members of the committee, this is just a extension of the agreement that was passed by council a little bit towards the end of last year, I believe in September, October. So last year we agreed to waive the minimum requirement. I believe the contract was a 3 or 4 year agreement with the city of North Ridgeville to provide water. They had a construction project as well as some other concerns that wasn't allowing them to use the minimum that they agreed to. So we wanted to just charge them for the water they used. That project is still kind of ongoing. So they just asked for a simple 3-month extension for water use in January, February, March to have the minimum waived. And then starting with services in April, they'll go back to what the contract had agreed to, which I believe ends this year. So you might be seeing a new agreement towards the end of the year to kind of replace that agreement. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Firestein?
Question. Who monitors that particularly?
The utilities department billing monitors the usage, and then we put that together each month and then send that bill to them.
Okay,
I'm
thank
sorry.
you.
Through the chair, I apologize.
Mr. Firestein, are you requesting this to be done on an emergency?
Yes, please, if possible.
Does the motion concur with the emergency?
I do.
Does the second?
I do.
Is there any
We're
further
married now.
Oh boy.
Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item number 5, we've considered the matter of a contract renewal with Medical Mutual of Ohio, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract renewal with Medical Mutual for administrative fees, services, and costs. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Ms.
Second.
Davis, second by Mr. Baird. Director Firestein?
Yes, Chair, thank you. Through the chair to members of the committee, the item before you is very similar to the property insurance agreement that you had approved previously, but this is for health insurance for employees from the city of Elyria. We are self-insured, as many of you may know, and what we do is we have a representative through Arthur Gallagher to go out in the insurance world and find a good deal for us to join their network of brokerage services. So when you go to the doctor's office, it's a certain amount that they agree upon. And what we do is we pay those rates. And so this agreement is with them to be a member of their network.
Mr. Tolet?
Through you, Mr. Chair, what is the difference between items 5 and 6 with Medical Mutual then?
Yes, through the chair to Councilman Tolet. The difference is they're kind of tied together. The difference is for the administrative fees and services and the costs, that is the agreements they have for when you use an MRI machine, when you use an X-ray machine, when you go to the doctor, those costs are established. What stop loss is when a claim hits a certain amount of money per year, we are no longer required to pay that. The stop loss coverage covers the rest of it. So we pay, so if an employee goes over a certain amount, we pay that as a self-insured entity. Beyond that, they cover that.
Thank you. I didn't understand that. Thank you, though. That clears it up.
Is there any further discussion?
Question.
Questions have been called. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nay. Motion carried. Item number 6, we've considered the matter of a contract renewal with Medical Mutual of Ohio. An ordinance authorized the mayor to enter into a contract renewal with Medical Mutual for a stop loss contract effective January 1st of 2021. Can I get a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Baird.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tolet. Director Firestein, I think you kind of answered that in the second previously, but is there anything more that we needed to have any more discussion with that?
Yes, not to be a pain, and probably I'll feel the brunt of the violence from the committee, and I might need the health insurance after I get through this. But to ask the committee, I did not ask for suspension of the rule, a suspension and emergency on that contract. So I didn't know if that would be appropriate to go back to that because the contract, we've not previously brought this forward to council, and in trying to adhere to the rules and making sure we follow procedure in consultation with the law director's office. This is why it's in front of you. And I did not ask for emergency on the last item. So I apologize. So I would ask for emergency on that, on item 5 and 6. And Director Deary, I apologize for my error.
That's fine. Through you, Mr. Chair, if you would just revisit agenda item 5 and ask for a motion to do that.
Sure.
Bring that back to the floor.
I move it goes as an emergency.
Well, first, if you could bring agenda item 5 back to the floor.
6? Oh, do we have to do 5 first before we go to 6? Is that?
I would do that.
Okay. So getting back to item number 5, can we have an emergency set under suspension rules and declared an emergency?
I'm so moved, Mr. Chairman. On
I second it.
Moved by Mr. Baird, second by Ms. Davis. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Item number 6, I'll reread. A contract renewal with Medical Mutual of Ohio in order to authorize the mayor to enter into a contract renewal with Medical Mutual for the stop loss contract effective January 1st of 2021 under suspension of rules and declared an emergency. Can I get a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Baird.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tolet. Director Firestein, is there anything more you need to add other than what you've previously stated?
No, Mr. Chairman, unless any of the committee members had any questions. Thank you.
Question.
Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Like your hat, Ted.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, look at that shirt, Brenda.
Getting down to serious business. All right. Item number 7, we've considered the matter of the 2021 temporary appropriation changes in ordinance authorizing the said temporary appropriation changes per the attached. Can I get a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Baird,
Second.
second by Mr. Tolet. Finance Director Plesky.
I don't believe there are any changes for the temporary, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
That's good.
that's good.
We can move on to,
We can move on to the game, I guess. Is that what you're saying by putting your hat?
Yeah.
Kindly adjourn first.
Yes.
Hearing no further business, I move we adjourn
Moved
and
by
go
Mr. Baird.
Bucks.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
Question been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Go Bucks.
yeah.